Africa is rapidly modernizing, with countless railways, bridges, ports, and even entire cities being built across the continent. A vast majority of that construction is on China's dime. The Forum on China-Africa Cooperation, or FOCAC, which is held every 3 years, will next take place in Beijing on September 4th. It's a big deal because the forum is traditionally when China pledges huge funding commitments for major infrastructure projects in Africa. The last FOCAC was held in 2021 during the COVID-19 pandemic. China's president pledged at the event to help fund immunization efforts in Africa.
22年，60%非洲人口接种新冠疫苗的目标。我宣布，中国将再向非方提供10亿剂疫苗。
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am so happy and excited to have you all constantly coming back to the channel to watch videos that are uploaded. And if you are a returning subscriber, I just want to use this opportunity to say a big thank you for your love, for your shares, for your comments, and for subscribing. And if you are a newcomer on this channel, thank you for choosing to watch this channel. Thank you, and I kindly ask you to subscribe and comment. We are very active in the comment section. People share their thoughts. We have very good conversations in the comment section. And again, I want to give a quick shout out to all the members, those that have chosen to subscribe to the membership of this channel. I say a big thank you for growing the community. And if you are interested to join the membership of this channel, please, beneath this button, just beside the subscribe button, you will see join, and you can just click on the join button to join, to become a member of this platform, and we will continue to grow as days go by. Your thought and your support is very important to me. And again, do not be discouraged if you are not a member. I truly appreciate you coming here, and I truly appreciate your thought. So, ladies and gentlemen, why are we here today? We are not ignorant of what has happened between the 4th and the 6th of this month in China. I am talking, ladies and gentlemen, about the China-Africa Summit of 2024, that is otherwise called the FOCAC. That is the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation. And this cooperation has been ongoing since 2000. So since 2000, and every 3 years, China hosts a China-African Summit where it comes up with different themes to enhance cooperation and collaboration between China and the African continent and countries in the African continent. It is said that this particular summit of this year, 2024, is one of the biggest diplomatic summit that has happened in recent years. It brought about more than 53 African leaders and African leaders, representatives, diplomatic heads from different countries to participate in this year's China-African Summit. And we have keynote speakers from that conference who are African leaders, like we have President Faid of Senegal, who is a co-chair of the FOCAC, the China-African Summit. And also we have President Cyril Ramaphosa of South Africa. And we are so incredibly excited to talk about this, because why is this a very important summit in this recent time? We all know that China is putting up this summit, and we are told that the theme of this year's summit, let me be very sure that the theme of this year's summit is joining hands to advance modernization and be a high-level China-Africa community with a shared future. Wow. Joining hands to advance modernization and build a high-level China-Africa community with a shared future. And this is very important because it came at a time when China is really trying to plant its feet in Africa, boost its influence in Africa amidst increasing competition with America and the European Union. So this is a very significant conference, a summit for China, because remember we had the BRICS that happened in South Africa not long ago. We have the Russian African conference that took place in 2023, and now we are having the FOCAN that is in China, and this happens every 3 years, and this was initiated since the year 2000. But this one, they say, is the biggest of its kind that brought about different diplomatic heads and different leaders across the globe. But what is most significant in this particular conference is what the president of China, Xi Jinping, said when he was doing his opening speech. He's highlighted a lot of things. And before I get into that, let's know that China is a major actor in the African continent when it comes to aid, when it comes to development, when it comes to many other things. China is a major actor in the African continent. And we all know that between 2006 up to 2021, China alone invested over 191 billion US dollars in African countries. And it is said that before 2021, more than 155 billion of the promised 191 billion was already invested into different sectors of the economy in Africa. So China is a major actor in the African continent. Again, guys, it is said that this conference also aims at what? Industrialization, agricultural advancement, security cooperation, regarding especially also building the China Belt and Road Initiative. This is a project, a very massive project aimed at linking several continents with China, with physical infrastructures. So what China is doing is actually trying to boost its influence in Africa to become the highest, investor in the African continent. And it's one of the biggest events, like I said, in recent times and in recent years, with the highest attendance from foreign leaders. As you will see in the video that I'll be showing you subsequently, you see all the African head of states with their representatives. But most importantly, we have keynote speakers who are like Cyril Ramaphosa. We have Fayed of Senegal. This is very important. So like I was saying, that when the president of China, Xi Jinping, opened the conference, he made some very salient points, which I think that are very important for us to look into, because he came with a handshake. He didn't come to impose. He realized that if they want to impose, they're seeing the way the African continent is shifting. It's actually trying to remove itself from foreign domination. So it knows China is very intelligent. It knows that if it comes to impose on Africa, they will lose their place, just the way Western powers are now losing their place in the African continent. But what he said that caught my attention was the fact that he said it will be a bilateral relationship that is equal, and that that it will be based on strategic relations. Overall, it will be characterized by equal opportunities between China and Africa. It is that will be a shared future for both China and Africa that reflects their respective cultures and economies. He also said the modernization is modernization is an inalienable right for every people. This is something that is very important. So modernization is an inalienable right for every people. But the Western powers have used modernization to inflict pain and suffering to the people of the African continent. But this is not what China is coming to do. It said China wants to stand with Africa as an equal partner in development, in investment, in trade, in every aspect, in agriculture, in every aspect that they want to work with the African continent. They want to stand as equal partners. So these were very salient points that he raised that I felt that they were very important. He said China, Africa will set up a wave in the modernization phase in the global south. He said they will set up a wave in the global south. Don't forget, China is also considered to be part of the global south. And then he said it will be a just and equitable relationship, partnership between the African continent or the countries in Africa that have diplomatic ties with China and that want to work with China. It will be on a just and equitable relationship. They will act in light of their concerns in relation to their countries, and said they will ensure equal rights and opportunities for all countries, China and the country that they'll be collaborating with. It also said it will be an open win-win for both countries, China and whichever country that they intend to work with. So I think that this is very important. But he said, his father said that it will really deepen relationship between China in the areas of industry, agriculture, trade, investment, technology, and other stuffs that he mentioned, which I think that it will be fair for you to also listen directly from him to hear what he said. And also the important things that were said by President of South Africa, the chairperson of the AU, as well as President of Senegal. We also will be bringing you excerpts of different keynote speakers or presidents that represented their countries or the president that were talking for themselves. So let us listen to what was done or what was said by the president of China and then the keynote speakers of the conference. Welcome the president of China.
Future growth in mind, I propose that bilateral relations between China and all African countries having diplomatic ties with China be elevated to the level of strategic relations. And that the overall characterization of China-Africa relations be elevated to an all-weather China-Africa community with a shared future for the new era. Friends and distinguished guests, modernization is an inalienable right of all countries. But the Western approach to it has inflicted immense sufferings on developing countries. Since the end of World War II, Third World nations, represented by China and African countries, have achieved independence and development one after another, and have been endeavoring to redress the historical injustices of the modernization process. As we are about to celebrate the 75th anniversary of the People's Republic of China, we are going all out to build a great modern socialist country in all respects and pursue national rejuvenation through a Chinese path to modernization. Africa is also awakening again, and the continent is marching in solid strides toward the modernization goals set forth in the AU's Agenda 2063. China and Africa's joint pursuit of modernization will set off a wave of modernization in the global south and open a new chapter in our drive for a community with a shared future for mankind. We should jointly advance modernization that is just and equitable. In promoting modernization, we should not only follow the general rules, but also act in light of our national realities. China is ready to increase exchanges of governance experience with Africa, support all countries in exploring modernization paths befitting their national conditions, and help ensure equal rights and equal opportunities for all countries. We should jointly advance modernization that is open and win-win. Mutually beneficial cooperation is the sunny road to the betterment of the long-term and fundamental interests of all countries. China is ready to deepen cooperation with Africa in industry, agriculture, infrastructure, trade and investment. Promote exemplary, high-quality Belt and Road cooperation projects and build together a model for the delivery of the Global Development Initiative. We should jointly advance modernization that puts the people first. The ultimate goal of modernization is the free and full development of human beings. China will work vigorously with Africa to promote personnel training, poverty reduction, and employment. Enhance the sense of gain, happiness, and security of the people in the cause of modernization, and ensure that all will benefit from the process. We should jointly advance modernization featuring diversity and inclusiveness. Well-balanced material and spiritual advancement is a lofty objective of modernization. China will enhance people-to-people and cultural exchanges with Africa, champion mutual respect, inclusiveness, and coexistence of different civilizations on our way to modernization, and strive together for more fruitful outcomes under the Global Civilization Initiative. We should jointly advance modernization that is eco-friendly. Green development is a hallmark of modernization in the new era. China is ready to help Africa build green growth engines, narrow the gap in energy accessibility, adhere to the principle of common but differentiated responsibilities, and jointly push for the global transition to green and low-carbon development. We should jointly advance modernization underpinned by peace and security. Modernization would not be possible without a peaceful and stable environment for development. China is ready to help Africa improve its capacity in safeguarding peace and stability independently, prioritize Africa in implementing the Global Security Initiative, promote mutual reinforcement of high-quality development and greater security, and work together with Africa to uphold world peace and stability. Friends and distinguished guests, China and Africa account for 1/3 of the world population. Without our modernization, there will be no global modernization. In the next 3 years, China will work with Africa to take the following 10 partnership actions for modernization, to deepen China-Africa cooperation and spearhead the Global South modernization. First, the partnership action for mutual learning among civilizations. China is ready to work with Africa to build a platform for governance experience sharing. A China-Africa knowledge network for development, and 25 centers on China and Africa studies. We will make better use of Africa's leadership academies to cultivate talents for governance, and invite 1,000 members of African political parties to China to deepen exchanges of experience in party and state governance. Second, the partnership action for trade prosperity.
China-African Summit.
China will voluntarily and unilaterally open its market wider. We have decided to give all LDCs having diplomatic relations with China, including 33 countries in Africa, zero tariff treatment for 100% tariff lines. This has made China the first major developing country and the first major economy to take such a step. It will help turn China's big market into Africa's big opportunity. China will expand market access for African agricultural products, deepen cooperation with Africa in e-commerce and other areas, and launch a China-Africa Quality Enhancement Program. We are prepared to enter into framework agreements on economic partnership for shared development with African countries to provide long-term, stable, and predictable institutional guarantee for trade and investment between the two sides. Third, the partnership action for industrial chain cooperation. China will foster industry cooperation growth clusters with Africa, push forward the pilot zone for in-depth China-Africa economic and trade cooperation, and launch an African SMEs empowerment program. We will build with Africa a digital technology cooperation center and initiate 20 digital demonstration projects so as to embrace together the latest round of technological revolution and industrial transformation. Fourth, the partnership action for connectivity. China is prepared to carry out 30 infrastructure connectivity projects in Africa, promote together high-quality Belt and Road cooperation, and put in place a China-Africa network featuring land-sea links and coordinated development. We are ready to assist in the development of the African Continental Free Trade Area and deepen logistics and financial cooperation for the benefit of trans-regional development in Africa. Fifth, the partnership action for development cooperation. China is ready to release the joint statement on deepening cooperation within the framework of the Global Development Initiative with Africa. and implement 1,000 small and beautiful livelihood projects. We will replenish the China World Bank Group Partnership Facility to boost Africa's development. We support Africa in hosting the 2026 Youth Olympic Games and the 2027 Africa Cup of Nations. We will work together with Africa to deliver more fruits of development to the two peoples. Sixth, the partnership action for health. China is ready to establish with Africa a hospitals alliance and joint medical centers. We will send 2,000 medical personnel to Africa and launch 20 programs of health facilities and malaria treatment. We will encourage Chinese companies to invest in Africa's pharmaceutical production and continue to do what we can to help Africa with epidemic response. We support the development of the Africa Centers of Disease Control and Prevention to strengthen public health capacity in all African countries. Seventh, the partnership action for agriculture and livelihoods. China will provide Africa with 1 billion yuan, or about 140 million US dollars, in emergency food assistance, build about 6,670 hectares of standardized agriculture demonstration areas in Africa, send 500 agricultural experts, and establish a China-Africa Agricultural Science and Technology Innovation Alliance. We will implement 500 programs in Africa to promote community welfare. We will also encourage two-way investment for new business operations by Chinese and African companies, enable Africa to retain added value, and create at least 1 million jobs for Africa. Eighth, the partnership action for people-to-people exchanges. China will implement with Africa more solidly the Future of Africa Vocational Education Cooperation Plan, establish together an engineering technology academy, and build 10 Luban workshops. We will provide 60,000 training opportunities to Africa, mainly for women and youth. We will launch with Africa a cultural Silk Road program, as well as an initiative of cooperation on innovation in radio, TV, and audio and visual programs. The two sides have agreed to designate 2026 as the China-Africa Year of People-to-People Exchanges. Ninth, the partnership action for green development. China is ready to launch 30 clean energy projects in Africa, put in place meteorological early warning systems, and carry out cooperation in disaster prevention, mitigation, and relief, as well as biodiversity conservation. We will create a China-Africa Forum on peaceful use of nuclear technology, establish together 30 joint laboratories, and collaborate on satellite remote sensing and lunar and deep space exploration. All this is designed to help with green development in Africa. 10th, the Partnership Action for Common Security. China is ready to build with Africa a partnership for implementing the Global Security Initiative and make it a fine example of GSI cooperation. We will give Africa 1 billion yuan, or about 140 million US dollars of grants in military assistance, provide training for 6,000 military personnel and 1,000 police and law enforcement officers from Africa, and invite 500 young African military officers to visit China. The two sides will conduct joint military exercises, training and patrol, carry out an action for a mine-free Africa, and jointly ensure the safety of personnel and projects. To implement the 10 partnership actions, the Chinese government will provide 360 billion yuan, or about 50 billion US dollars, of financial support through the next 3 years. This breaks down into 210 billion yuan, or about 29 billion US dollars of credit line, 80 billion yuan, or about 11 billion US dollars of assistance in various forms, and at least 70 billion yuan, or about 10 billion US dollars of investment in Africa by Chinese companies. In addition, China will encourage and support Africa in issuing panda bonds in China to enhance our results-oriented cooperation in all areas. Friends and distinguished guests, the Communist Party of China held in July the successful third plenary session of its 20th Central Committee, laying out systematic plans for further deepening reform comprehensively to advance Chinese modernization. This will profoundly further transform China. It will also provide new opportunities and new driving forces for African countries and for our joint pursuit of modernization. As an African proverb goes, a friend is someone you share the path with. On the path to modernization, no one and no country should be left behind. Let us rally the more than 2.8 billion Chinese and African people into a powerful force on our shared path toward modernization. Promote modernization of the Global South with China-Africa modernization, and write a new magnificent chapter of development in human history. Let us join hands to bring about a bright future of peace, security, prosperity, and progress for our world. Thank you. Let's welcome President Faye of the Republic of Senegal, the African co-chair of FOCAC, with a warm round of applause.
Your Excellency Xi Jinping, President of the People's Republic of China and co-chair of FOCAC. Your Excellency Basiru Diomaye Mohammed Oud Sheikh Al Ghazouani of the Islamic Republic of Mauritania, Chair of the African Union, Your Excellencies Heads of State and Government, dear colleagues, Your Excellency Antonio Guterres, Secretary General of the United Nations, Your Excellency Musa Faki Mohammed, Chairperson of AU Commission, Ministers, Heads of Delegations, ladies and gentlemen. President Xi, at the outset, on behalf of Africa, I wish to send warm regards to you and the people of China and express heartfelt thanks for the warm welcome and hospitality extended to us by China. I'm pleased to come to China, which has a time-honored history and a splendid civilization, represented by such wonders as the Forbidden City, the Great Wall, and the Temple of Heaven. This is the first time I speak at a FOCAC summit as Senegal's newly elected president, building on the tremendous work of previous co-chairs. I wish to reiterate that Senegal attaches great importance to China-Africa cooperation, which is based on our shared values of equality among civilizations and cultures, mutual benefit, solidarity, and cooperation. The core tenets of FOCAC. I want to pay high tribute to the vision and leadership of President Xi Jinping and the importance he places on FOCAC and China-Africa cooperation. The new practical measures just announced by President Xi once again showcase his firm commitment to elevate China-Africa cooperation to a new level. Since its inception in 2000, FOCAC, through a series of projects and measures, has become a fine example of partnership underpinned by dialogue, mutual respect, and joint construction. The theme of this year's summit is joining hands to advance modernization and build a high-level China-Africa community with a shared future. It is a pleasure for me to co-chair the opening ceremony together with President Xi in the auspicious Year of the Dragon. In a world fraught with war, violence, extremism, and prolonged economic and social crises, the theme of this summit, which calls for modernizing the Africa-China partnership to realize shared goals, is highly relevant. Though we face complex challenges on the road ahead, we can respond by strengthening political and economic solidarity, which are vital to Africa-China cooperation. Senegal has been the African co-chair since the 2018 Beijing Summit, and we held the Dakar Ministerial Conference in 2021. We had the honor to witness the remarkable achievements of this partnership. I also want to pay special tribute to the new Belt and Road Initiative of China, which has contributed greatly to attaining FOCAC's goals in infrastructure development, including harbors, airports, roads, highways, and railways. In agriculture, vocational training, water resources management, industry, health, and other strategic areas, our cooperation has produced notable outcomes. We will never forget that during the COVID pandemic, China was the first to provide Africa with vaccines and PPEs, and stood firmly together with Africa in the darkest hours. China also helped build the Africa Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, raising Africa's capacity to cope with diseases. In the area of trade, the volume of trade between Africa and China has grown from $120 billion in 2018 to $282.1 billion in 2023. I'm pleased to see that China is actively promoting greater balance in trade with Africa, assisting Africa in improving export capacity and facilitating quarantine clearance of African exports to China. Africa and China forged a profound friendship in the days of our struggle against colonialism and our effort to advance the non-alignment movement. I wish to reaffirm Senegal's support for the Global Development Initiative, the Global Security Initiative, and Global Civilization Initiative put forth by President Xi Jinping. We are firmly committed to the One China principle, and we firmly believe the government of the People's Republic of China is the sole legal government representing the whole of China. Dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, this summit will mark the end of Senegal's duty as co-chair of FOCAC. But it will also usher in a new chapter of Africa-China cooperation. The Declaration and Action Plan 2025 to 2027 to be adopted at this summit will consolidate the fruits of Africa-China cooperation and bring benefits to our peoples. In that spirit, I would advise the summit agenda to give special focus to work in the following four aspects. First, continue to promote agriculture development and modernization to eradicate poverty and realize greater sovereignty in food. Second, continue to bolster financing, including private investment for Africa, to better support infrastructure development, economic growth, employment, and the revenue-generating industries, and improve the living standards of our peoples. Third, continue to advance African industrialization to address challenges of sustainable and inclusive development, promote vocational education to boost youth employment and cultivate the human capital through women empowerment, promote global governance reform, remove restrictions on Africa in attracting investment in light of Africa's urgent need of financing, advance climate response and advocate a fair and just energy transition to meet Africa's needs of industrialization. Fourth, give stronger support to digital infrastructure, innovation, youth creativity, and particular startups of all types. As Senegal ends its term as co-chair of FOCAC, I want to express sincere gratitude to my friend and colleague President Xi Jinping for his cooperation over the years. Thank you, Mr. President. And to my African colleagues and brothers and sisters, I want to thank you for 6 years of cooperation in pressing ahead our common agenda. Senegal will continue to work in the same good faith to support greater development of FOCAC, to realize our shared ambitions and ideals. Here, I want to use this opportunity to offer my congratulations to President Doni Sassou Nguesso, who will soon take the position of African co-chair of FOCAC. I wish him great success in fulfilling this duty. Before I conclude, I commend the consensus reached by Africa and China on Declaration Africa and the action plan of the summit. I propose that we adopt these documents with a round of applause and continue to carry forward the Africa-China partnership. In conclusion, I wish the summit a full success. Thank you all. The African Union and a representative of Northern Africa to give his remarks.
Good morning. Your Excellency, President Xi Jinping of the People's Republic of China, Your Excellency, President Faye of Senegal, co-chair of FOCAC, distinguished heads of state and heads of government, UN Secretary General Guterres, AU Commission Chairperson Faki, ladies and gentlemen, at the outset, I extend warm congratulations to His Excellency President Xi Jinping. I congratulate China for hosting the 4th FOCAC Summit in Beijing. We thank China for its hospitality, and we thank President Xi, the Chinese government, and the Chinese people for its warm hospitality for our delegation. I warmly congratulate the 2 co-chairs, His Excellency President Xi Jinping and His Excellency President Faye. You attach tremendous importance to deepening China-Africa cooperation to the benefit of both sides. Heads of government, heads of state, ladies and gentlemen, it's been over 2 decades since FOCAC was founded. It has become a high-level platform and effective mechanism for promoting China-Africa partnership. It has also become a fine example of South-South cooperation. FOCAC is built on friendship, mutual respect, and win-win cooperation. It has opened up new pathways for both sides to stay in solidarity, carry out cooperation, and achieve faster development. China and African countries share the same goal, that is, to elevate our relationship to one of strategic level and build a high-level China-Africa community with a shared future. This is also what this summit is about. We have adopted one plan after another, put forward one proposal after another. Trade between our two sides has been elevated to a record high. Last year, trade exceeded $280 billion. This is credited to China's massive investment in Africa, especially under the framework of Belt and Road Cooperation. It has boosted infrastructure development and also the development of ports, roads, energy, and the digital sector. African countries are in dire need of such infrastructure to support its development. It is especially important as African countries are working to advance economic integration, enhance the continental free trade area, and achieve the overall goals laid out in Agenda 2063. We highly commend the 10 partnership actions announced by President Xi. We will work with China to deliver on all these actions in a variety of sectors. We truly appreciate China's announcements to support Africa's diversified development. Our partnership is not just about economic and trade ties. It is built upon shared philosophy and position. We believe that humanity belongs to the same community and should enjoy sustainable development so that all countries and all peoples can benefit. We are committed to prioritizing world security and peace, and we believe that we must build a fairer and more balanced multilateral international order so that everybody can enjoy peace and prosperity. Africa today faces quite a number of problems internally. Economic and security crises have had negative impact on African countries. African countries need more than ever the assistance from China in order to ensure that we have security, stability, and development so that we can increase representation of African countries on the international stage and that the international agenda can factor in Africa's characteristics and key concerns. We are committed to reforming the global political and financial governance system, ensure that it is fairer, more just, and balanced, so that all countries can enjoy an equality in rights. We hope that under the Belt and Road Initiative, we can cooperate more closely with China. We firmly support the three major global initiatives proposed by President Xi Jinping. Heads of state, heads of government, we are faced with a range of international challenges, but we enjoy very solid bilateral relations with China. The growth of these relationships deliver benefits to countries concerned and also to world peace and security. China is Mauritania's largest trading partner. Our cooperation covers infrastructure, fishery, health, education, transportation, and energy, among others. The people of Mauritania will never forget that in the early 1960s, China assisted Mauritania in delivering the Nouakchott drinking water program and helped us build a large number of ports, roads, and government buildings for different cities in the country. We will also never forget the generosity of China during COVID. Mauritania is ready to work with China to strengthen our partnership under the Belt and Road Initiative, as well as the 2035 vision for China-Africa cooperation. To meet the aspiration of Chinese and African people, Mauritania is also willing to make better use of its strategic location and resource endowments, deliver more ambitious development strategies, and share with China investment and development opportunities. To conclude, I wish the summit a full success. I firmly believe that this summit will help us move toward modernization together and build a high-level China-Africa community with a shared future. This is our shared aspiration. We believe the FOCAC summit can play a key role. Thank you very much. I thank President Al-Ghazwani for his passionate remarks. Now, I invite Representative of Southern Africa, President Ramaphosa of South Africa, to deliver remarks.
The entire world. We must development-oriented and inclusive. We need to work in a spirit of cooperation and collaboration. China has a long history of friendship and solidarity with the people of Africa over many centuries. And we thank China for continuing to expand and develop a spirit of cooperation and collaboration, particularly with our continent, Africa. So we say thank you, President Xi Jinping, for continuing Since this relationship was institutionalized through FOCAC in 2000, ties between China and Africa have continued to grow and to deepen and to broaden. We welcome the proposal by President Xi Jinping to elevate China's bilateral relations with African countries that are having diplomatic ties with China to the level of strategic relations. This, to us, shows the great importance that China attaches to its relationship with the African continent and with individual countries on the African continent. And for this, we thank you again. This fourth FOCAC summit reflects the cooperative, comprehensive, and intentional nature of our cooperation. This summit reflects our shared desire for modernization, development, and progress on the African continent. We believe that this shared desire is reflected in the 10 partnership actions on modernization to be taken by China and Africa as announced by President Xi Jinping. Through the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area, the economies of Africa are being drawn closer together. We are pursuing projects that reach across national borders. We believe that FOCAC can play an important role as Africa works to build an integrated network of linkages between countries, within regions, and across our continent. This, in many ways, speaks to how we should continue to develop as a continent that demonstrates indeed that we have grasped the need to further develop our continent, but to do so in partnership with a country such as China that has historically shown its total commitment to the development of Africa based on friendship. We believe that FOCAC is a valuable forum to support the implementation of the African Union's Agenda 2063. In the 10 actions that President Xi Jinping has pronounced, we find that all of them are in line with the implementation of Agenda 2063. And we thank China for focusing on Africa's development. In the name of our common humanity, we must work together to achieve the Africa that we want, and we must work together to achieve the world that we want. This is what we are here for, and that is why we're grateful that China has been able to convene together with President Faye this FOCAC summit, which will discuss the various steps that we need to take to advance our continent. And I speak in support of the conclusions that are already in draft that are going to be adopted in the declaration, supporting a one China policy and endorsing the view that the People's Republic of China is the true and only representative of the people of China. Thank you very much.
It continues, and you keep hearing the keynote speaker talking about the FOCAC and what it has done to the African continent, the cooperation between Africa and China, but most importantly, they are trying to look at how build an equitable relationship, a partnership relationship with China, not a relationship where there is a master and a slave, but we also should know that in recent years, we've all seen how most African countries are so sick and tired of the West, and now they are shifting their attention, or they are leaning more towards China and Russia. So China is also using this African relationship to strengthen its position in the global front. From what the Prime Minister of China or an analyst said, he said Africa is very important to China because of the strength of its vote at the United Nations General Assembly. So just the pictures of the African leaders and those of China, it's going to create a lot of big headlines for China, and it will shaken the West. So those headlines will be propagating. The papers will be talking about China, why people like America are focusing on their elections right now. You see that China is also taking, this, the opportunity and making use of the opportunity. But most importantly, China came in a humble way this time. It's really saying that China wants to work with Africa in a way that it will be equal partners, just and equal partners in the relationship. Whatever they want to do with Africa or any particular country, they will do it based on the needs of the country and its local population, not imposing or not inflicting pain and suffering on the people, just like the West has done. Like the president said there, you could hear him, he said that modernization is an inalienable right for every country. And what has happened is that the West has used its own modernization to rather inflict and cause pain to Africa. But China is not coming to do same. China is coming to work with Africa as a partner. And we have seen the number of, the amount of money that China has pumped into the African continent over the last decade. And we also see here China talking about building a physical infrastructure that will connect different continents to Africa. And this is a massive project that China is working on. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the biggest, as they said, the biggest diplomatic conference that has taken place in recent time. But we should not forget that many African leaders continue to attend these conferences. But what happened in Africa? We've not seen that change. We've seen them. They've been called to New York. They call them to Paris. They call them to Beijing. They call them to St. Petersburg. They call them to other places. They just keep moving and moving and moving to these countries. They call them to London. They just carry themselves and go to these countries. But what is the outcome? So we are expecting that from this particular relationship, especially because we've seen a very drastic shift in the Sahel region, where the countries are really standing up against foreign domination and shifting away from the old partners and trying to create new partners, and China being one of the new partners, and Russia, then many African countries will see the example of these Sahel nations and they will follow suit. And you can see, you'll be shocked that the number of people that you see there, as you can see in the conference. I can even see the living vampire, Paul Biya, who is also sitting there. I can see Tinubu of Nigeria that is sitting there. I can also see, of course, I see President Paul Kagame. I can't even compare him with those ones because he's doing incredibly well for Rwanda, and he's transformed Rwanda in the twinkle of an eye. So, but we hope to see more in the development, in the trade and mining sectors of in Africa, a change where we can all benefit. Africans can benefit from the natural resources, not just go attend this conference, use our taxpayer monies to go for these conferences and then come back home and continue to collect more taxes from us, instead of trying to use the knowledge that they acquired from these conferences to develop our continent. So our prayer is that these conferences, this conference will not be like the others that they've been attending, but it will really be a shift, a change in policies and in everything, because you can hear the president there giving his words, the Chinese president Xi Jinping, that it is going to be an equal partnership. It is going to be a relationship. It's not going to be a master-slave relationship as the West has done in Africa over the decades. So our prayer and hope is this. But does it mean this is everything that happened in the conference? No, a lot is still to come, and we'll be bringing you different excerpts of different leaders and what their thoughts are regarding the continent and the other leaders, African leaders, and the governance within the country. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for being part of this journey as we continue to hope and pray for change in Africa. Let us, the youth of Africa, speak up Let us call our leaders to order. Let us advocate for change in Africa. You can see President Faye there. He's a very young president. When he spoke, he saw how the old ones got up and greeted him. We see what Ibrahim Traore is doing. And so let us continue to advocate for new blood to come into the presidencies of different countries in Africa and infuse different level of thinking and governance in this country so that Africa can truly rise as a phoenix. So thank you very much. And for you, my lovely subscribers, thank you very much for your time on this channel. If you're new, if you just stumble on this channel, God bless you for stumbling on this channel. Kindly subscribe and share your thoughts in the comment section. And again, if you're a returning subscriber, I will never stop to appreciate you. Thank you for your love and support. And again, if you are a member, if you have signed up or joined the membership program, I cannot thank you enough. Much love to you. And we will continue to chat in the membership section. Hear your thought, bring your suggestions. And like I said, you get extra treatment from others. But God bless you for everyone that is here. Don't feel that you're treated less. I love you all because without you, I would not be here. So God bless you.